بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So I got some scattered thoughts on my mind, everybody. Uh, I wanted to talk about why y'all see me so concerned with the affairs of the Salafi Minhaj, the modern day Salafi Minhaj, the group who call themselves a Salafiyyah. And they but well, I mean, maybe we could argue and say that they originate in Philly, at least in the black community. The reason why y'all see me post so much stuff against them, I'm not being funny, uh, and I love anybody who says La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Anybody who says the kalima shahada, I love them for the sake of Allah. Period. That's point blank. Period. Uh, First and foremost, I want to explain to y'all that, as y'all know, and if I'm very, very, very involved with the development and establishing actual community in the black community. And uh, one of the major hindrances uh, that I've recognized in this study is the fact that so many African Americans, when they want to become Muslim, they are attracted to the Salafi Minhaj. Uh, and the problem with that is, um, well, let me rewind a little bit. My sole purpose right now is to leave some type of impact on the black community. As I was victim of systemic racism, y'all see me post about that a lot as well. That destroyed my life. Alhamdulillah, I found Islam because of systemic racism, but uh, you know, we are victims of systemic racism. So I care unconditionally about the betterment of my people, the betterment of my community. Just for the simple fact that I'm an advocate. Let's just say that I'm an advocate uh, for human rights. I don't even want to say civil rights, for human rights. And black people's civil human rights have not been established in this part of the earth. We can argue in the whole entire world, but that's not the point right now. All of the police shootings, we have even more black on black crime, black on black shootings. The number one cause of death in the black community is murder. All of our youth are being euthanized, ages 14 to 24. These is all your gang banging and drug selling years. This is when you put in what we call in the streets, when you put in your work, when you making your name in the streets. If you survive the streets, we dying out here, left and right. Our homes are broken. Uh, as y'all know, we got kids all over the country, all over the city. We're not taking care of the children. The women, they followed the leadership of the men. The men have just become disobedient to Allah, so the women are disobedient to Allah. Y'all know we got a whole hot mess on our hands. Y'all know we do. Y'all know we got a whole hot mess. Assalamu alaikum, City Yusuf. So the reason why I'm so concerned with the affairs of the Salafiyyah, the Salafi Minhaj, is because there's a lot of different things. But to be succinct about it, um, first and foremost, I believe that Islam will save the black community. First and foremost. So when I say Islam, I'm talking about the Sunnah. I'm talking about Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. I'm talking about the majority. I'm talking about the actual tradition of Islam. I ain't talking about what now has looked like become a gang, the Salafi Minhaj. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the deep tradition of Islam. That's what I'm talking about. That's what saved my life. Tasawwuf, purification of my lower desires, is what saved me. True Islam saved me. True knowledge of Islam saved me. The divine, sacred knowledge that has been passed down and preserved generation to generation. Alhamdulillah, from the Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam, all the way down to myself. Alhamdulillah, all the way in the depths of darkness, in a deep, dark prison cell. In a deep, dark prison cell with no hope ahead of me, no hope whatsoever. It was only the pure teachings of Islam that reformed me, because my heart was reformed, my mind was reformed, and then after my heart and my mind was reformed, then my actions were reformed. Alhamdulillah. And for the first time in my whole entire life, anybody that know me know I've been getting in trouble and running the streets and committing crimes since I was in like second grade. Literally, I caught my first case. Was it second or first grade? It was either first or second grade when I caught my first case. It was actually behind racism. Some little white guy called my sister a nigger, and I tore him up. I tore him right out his frame, right then and there. I didn't wait. We didn't have a teacher parent conference. No, none of that. That was it. That was all. I threw him down and up the steps. I caught a case behind that and was marginalized from society ever since. Of course, there was a quote unquote better way to handle that, but that's neither here nor there. But I've been in the system since I was in the first and second grade. So the only time I've ever been out of trouble in my whole entire life is when I took my Kalima Shahada, when I became a Muslim. So I take this stuff very serious. It may look like I be wrecking. Sometimes I be wrecking because some dudes just be saying stuff that's just all the way far way out in space. So, you know what I mean? Sometimes I wreck on them kind of dudes, but still I be teaching while I be wrecking. But my point in bringing all that up is um, uh, we have to, if we want to get anywhere as Black people, if we want to stop all the atrocities that are happening on a daily basis in our communities, we have to submit to Islam. Now, with that understood, we have this fad going on with the Salafi Minhaj. Let me just be clear. And we got way too many scholars. So I could talk like this because I ain't a scholar. I'm not an imam. I'm not a sheikh. None of that. I'm just big bruh. So I'm going to tell you what goes on behind the doors or behind the scenes with the shuyukh, and, some knowledge that's up under some other knowledge that a lot of people really won't get to. And, if any of my shuyukh or any of the shuyukh, get to talking like how I'm talking, they lose their political connects. I ain't the political connection guy. I'm the dude that they send to go get it done. So I can talk like I'm finna talk. The Salafi Minhaj is not the Salafi Minhaj. It is not the true Salafi Minhaj. It is not. Um, it was never a problem for me when I came into Islam. Of course, I ran into the dudes in the joint a couple times, but I'm a little further south than up north and out east, so we ain't really had them problems. But Philly, Jersey, New York, Chicago, those are all historical mainlands of Islam from the days of the Nation of Islam to the Wafd Muhammad movement. And then now it seems like we jumped out of the Wafd Muhammad movement straight into the Salafi Minhaj. And there's, a lot of speculation about that. I got my viewpoints about it. But what I'm starting to find is like when I'm, going back and forth with friends about this issue, these guys don't even know basic Islam. So we don't even know basic Islam. And let me make this declaration. When I'm wrecking, so quote unquote, I'm not talking about like all of the people. I'm talking about the individuals who are driving the fuel on this fire. I'm talking about the individuals who are spewing this stuff, this erroneous belief. of that they follow in the Sahaba. They follow in Islam according to the way of the Sahaba. All these just throwing all these mantras out here. These highly educated individuals, they know what they're doing. The people don't know, and y'all getting caught up in the aftermath. Y'all are innocent bystanders in this Akida war, as people like to say. The masses who, some, I was talking to my wife earlier, and I was like, man, people, I see a sister who might be reading one of Mr. Fawzan's books, and something might hit her, and then she shared it, and it'd be something like, making tough weed is the biggest bid'ah and the most evil innovation. That is not from the Salaf. The Salaf did tafweed. The Salaf did ta'wil. That is a lie. It's a lie, and sometimes I wonder, like, I can't get any of them guys to talk to me on a serious level to get me to understand how they can't see that these are lies if they're blatant or if they're not blatant. But that's not true. That's all the way not true. And the actual people who are the Salaf, like the four Imams in their whole generation, and the Imams from that generation, that is the time period of the Salaf. They never said any of the stuff that the people who call themselves today, the Salafi Minhaj, they never said any of that stuff. But what I'm starting to find is that the people who claim to be Salafiyyah or who claim to be from the Salafi Minhaj, they don't even know this. All the time, I'll say something. I'll put, when a sister make a post or a brother make a post or whatever, and everybody say they part on the comments. We all do it. When I say my part, and it's coming from the viewpoint of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and a lot of people don't know what wal Jama'ah is. Wal Jama'ah means the majority. The Salafis are not the majority. They are actually the micro minority. There are more Shia in the world than there are Salafis. So I'm not. We're not. The Salafi Minhaj is not the majority. So it's impossible for them to be Ahlus Sunnah, the people of the Sunnah, wal, and the Jama'ah, and the community, and the majority, the collective amount. It's impossible. It's impossible. The only people who are Salafi are, like, a few of them countries in the UAE and the surrounding areas to Saudi Arabia. That's it. And then you got people sprinkled in every single country who, look at Saudi Arabia and are turned out. But if you look at places like Indonesia, Shafi'i, East Africa, Shafi'i, North Africa, West Africa, Central Africa, Maliki, all the Muslims in Europe, Maliki, the majority of the people, and the rest of the whole Muslim world, the whole Indian subcontinent, the Chinese Muslims, the Uyghurs, all of the people who migrated here to America, Hanafi. But the loudest people on the internet are the Salafi Minhaj, causing all this disunity and spewing all of this hate. We cannot and will not get anywhere until we get past this. Number one, while I'm so concerned with this, is, like I said in the beginning of this video, I'm very concerned with nation building up our people as a nation. Alhamdulillah, we survived Christianity. We started to see, the innovations of Christianity, and then next thing you know, we jump into the Wahhabi cult. We jump straight from Christianity to the Wahhabi cult. So when I'm doing my 10 years in prison, I'm reading all these books. I'm looking at the Sahaba, the way that the Sahaba were not racist, and how Abu Bakr and all of the big Sahabi, they used to buy slaves and free them, and then those slaves, quote unquote black slaves, stayed with the Sahaba because of how good their character was. They could have went back to Africa where they came from, where they were captured at, or wherever it was that the tribe they got captured at, but they seen how divine and how beautiful the actual Sahaba was, that they wanted to stay with them, and then they even became eminent. They even became scholars. One of the people who's a major scholar in our chain, in my school, the Maliki school, Imam Nafi'. Imam Nafi' is one of the most critical links in hadith literature, fiqh literature, and usul literature in all of Islamic literature. And he was a freed black slave. The man who we love so much, Imam Malik, took from Imam Nafi. Alhamdulillah. We talk so much about the scholar of Medina, Malik, but we don't know we don't talk about his major connection was a black slave, Nafi, a black man who was lowest of the lowest side of society. Islam came, he converted to Islam, or he reverted to Islam, and then next thing you know, a man who was the lowest of the lowest side of society became one of the highest of the high of human history. That's what inspired me. And then when I come home, I'm looking at, I don't know nothing about Facebook or nothing. And all the friend requests that I'm getting, I'm seeing black faces. I'm seeing sisters, that's in hijab, black faces with beards, black faces with kufis. I'm loving it. I'm like, alhamdulillah. Black people in Islam, like, I'm ready to get on this thing. Let's do it. We finna get the community together. We finna get all the drugs to stop. We're gonna start business in the community. Everything finna be just like it was in the time of the Sahaba. And all they did is submit to Islam, and Allah Ta'ala took care of everything else. I find the opposite. They say, oh, brother, you're a Sufi, you're a Kafir, you're a grave worshiper, you're not a Muslim. May you burn in hell, may Allah break your back. What? How can this be Islam? Like, that's just common sense. The word Islam itself is peace. The Prophet ﷺ told us to spread peace, spread salam. When we greet each other and somebody say kalima shahada and we recognize that person say kalima shahada, we're supposed to say peace be on you, not may Allah break your back. You are one of the people of the firqa. You belong to the furuq. This sickening evil. Like, they're pushing and running people out of Islam. They disturbing Islam. They disturbing the peace of Islam. Not blaming the people. This is not the nature of the people. But like me and the brothers in the A team, when we having our meetings, we discussing these issues before we do videos and we do our dawah and tabligh efforts. My guys, they're in Philly. They boots on the ground right now. So what they're reporting to me is we got a people. Number one, we're traumatized from slavery and Jim Crow and all of the systemic racism. We traumatized from Christianity, and then we jump out of all of that stuff. Straight, we got all this trauma. We got, we got suffering conditions in the black community. We dealing with that trauma, and then we jump straight into this thing called the Salafi Minhaj that says that you must fight a crusade against the whole entire Muslim community. So all this damage, this trauma, we're traumatized people. We're traumatized people. They jump. This is something that they recognize. And if you ever peep, a lot of my brothers and sisters in Philly, like, Philly put on. Like, everybody know Philly ain't no joke. Philly is one of the most dangerous places in the world by default. One of the most dangerous places in the whole entire world. And Cincinnati and Philly was right next to each other in the murder rate this past year. So I can empathize with that. But Philly is a much bigger city. It's a much blacker city. It's a historical mainland of Islam, number one. Cincinnati is a historical slave land. It's not a historical mainland for Islam. But they be tough. You know what I'm saying? Like, they be thugs. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's attractive. That violent belief system is attractive. You got sisters that's been in war all of the streets, boom, boom, tats all on the face, on the neck, boom, boom, boom. And they're like, oh, I can worship God and I can still fight and be negative and be divisive. I can be Muslim and still do this. We should be focused on a simple fact. And when I first came home, I didn't have a big problem with the Salafis. I was like, okay, whatever. Y'all believe what y'all believe. I believe what I believe. Y'all say Kalima, I say Kalima, me and I say Kalima. Let's be along. Let's get along and be along. But no, that ain't how it worked. And this is the reason why I've chosen to take up the facts of the matter. It's because I can't begin to build. We can't begin to build if our so-called brothers and sisters deem us as kuffar. They have teachings from Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, the horn of Shaitan. They have teachings from him that show, like, okay, if a person does istighatha, he's a mushrik, and a mushrik is a kafir. If a person believes in tawassul, then he's a mushrik, and a mushrik is a kafir. We got this being taught to us. So when I come and I say, we have our proofs and our evidences for tawassul and istighatha, all we get is, oh, you're a kafir, you're a mushrik, may you burn in hell, may Allah break your back. How we can build a community with individuals who have deemed our blood lawful? We can't even marry, according to them, according to the Salafi Minhaj, the people of the four madhabs are kuffar. And I'm being extreme when I say that. I am. So don't get on here trying to correct and say, oh, well, such and such said this, and such said that, and such. No, I'm being extreme when I say that because it's a problem. It's so bad that we can't even get married. I, according to them, and a kafir, I'm a grave worshiping pagan, and a pagan is a kafir, and a Muslim woman cannot marry a pagan kafir. So we can't even build families. The majority of African Americans in Islam, this is not official statistics, this is just my observation. The majority of them they are Salafi or they're default Salafi. They're Salafi and don't know it. And that's my community. If I want to get married to a woman in my community, the chances of her being Salafi are very high, very high. But since I'm Maliki and I'm an Ash'ari, they say that they have teachings in their books that say that the Ash'ari deny the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we are kuffar because denying the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is denying the Quran. So we're kuffar. So she can't marry me. So I can't build a family. I can't build a home. If I can't do those two things, I can't be a participant in building a community. So we ain't gonna get nowhere. It's just gonna be continuously fighting. Aren't y'all tired of fighting? We've been fighting for everything since they brought us over here. And as soon as we find Islam, we're supposed to have peace in our heart. We're supposed to be building a community that is based on what we believe in, so that the actual battle that is at hand, which is to fight against actual kufr and to fight against actual shirk, and to allow and to protect our families and our children from going the ways of the actual non-Muslims, we can't fight that fight. It's going to take a community. It's going to take a village to do that. I can't do it all by myself. Even if I had the right amount of money to do it, I couldn't do it all by myself. I couldn't. The people have to be in communion. They have to be unified. This has to be a unified effort and a unified front. The object of the idea is that we all share a common belief. We all got the same common goals. We want peace according to the way of Islam. This way we can have our own. We couldn't even buy land and have our own farm because the Salafis are going to. They have what they made up to be fiqh, and then here come three other brothers or four other brothers who want to grow and till the land a certain kind of way, and we're going to pay zakat a certain kind of way according to our principles, our divine principles that are connected to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But the Salafis are on the outside with an objection. And the way of the Salafis is, if you don't believe it like this, then you're kafir. That's the way of the Salafi Minhaj. You're kafir. You don't want to do it like this. So now we can't even build a farm. We can't do land. We can't have property on the land. We can't. If we build and we have a community, I'm a kafir. You can't marry me or marry me and my family. And the majority of us are from the form of that. Or the majority of us are Maturidi and Ash'ari in Aqidah. The overwhelming majority of people. And also Athari. And when I say Athari, I don't mean Salafi Athari. I mean Hanbali Athari. The Salafis have tried to steal the Athari name, and they are not the true Atharis. The overwhelmingly vast majority of us believe like that. So when there's always going to be that fitna if we try to do any type of building of any sort. We can't stop the atrocities that are happening on a daily basis in our communities because we can't unify. Our own house ain't clean. We fighting in our own house. So how can we fight those external forces that really threaten our Islam if we so worried about fighting each other? And this is the way. This is the millah of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. He fought the Muslims, and they have been there. All of the four Madhhaahib were there before he came. They were there long before he came. They had their disagreements, of course. They had their disagreements, but they weren't fighting and killing each other. They didn't raise up against the Khilafah like he did and cause complete and total disruption and disunity of the community. How could this is just common sense. If I'm a new Muslim, because a lot of the people in Philly and the East Coast and up north, when y'all first, the Salafis have taken over so much, when y'all first are introduced to Islam, y'all are not introduced to Ahlul Sunnah. Y'all are introduced to Salafiyyah. Y'all have never seen Ahlul Sunnah, never heard of Ahlul Sunnah. That's a problem. Just common sense to me. When I was reading, if I see that an individual I choose to call a scholar fought everybody but the non-Muslims, I'm gonna be like, man, hold up. I don't care how you justify. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, if a Muslim tries to kill another Muslim, then they both going to hellfire. When I read that, that was common sense. I don't need an explanation. I don't need the tafsir to that. I'm gonna leave that right there where it is. You say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, your blood is not halal. It is not halal. Your blood is haram. Period. So if I read the Prophet ﷺ say that, and then I read this individual that came, and Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, and he's saying the complete opposite of everybody that came before him, 12 and 1300 years before him. He's saying the complete opposite. And then he acted on it. And then he went to go and kill Muslims, and he justified it. He slaughtered his own brother. And his brother was a Hanbali sheikh. How can this be your sheikh? That is a complete and total coward. Speaking in street terms, as I'm addressing my people in Philly who are the leaders of Black Muslims right now, and y'all have a responsibility to prove me wrong about this. My Black Muslims in Philly, ain't that some sucker stuff? If somebody from your block, if somebody from North Philly, and he claiming North Philly, he's supposed to be putting on for North Philly, but all he do is rob and shoot and kill everybody in North Philly, y'all not gonna rock with him. If y'all say he from 35th Street or whatever y'all streets is called, if you say he from 35th Street, but he ain't doing nothing but robbing and shooting everybody on 35th Street, how can that be your leader? He ain't even beefing with the ops. Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, he didn't even beef with the ops. As a matter of fact, he was in bed with the ops. The individuals who colonized the world and was trying to completely Christianize the whole entire world. The people who our companions fought against, he made a deal with against the Muslims. And y'all call him Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahhab? Ibn Abdul Wahhab, whatever his name is? Y'all kidding me? Come on, man. That ain't even right in street rules, y'all. And y'all street people. That ain't even right in street rules. How dude gonna be Pyru, but he ain't doing nothing but killing Pyrus? What? If that's not a cult, I don't know what is. And then justifying to be like, oh, he really wasn't Pyru. What? Everybody on Pyru following the same lit, but you got this one dude who claiming Pyru, and he done changed the whole lit. He ain't following none of the lit that we got established already, generation after generation. He done made up his own lit, and he said this the new lit, and everybody who don't believe in this lit, they dead. Man, look, I'm gonna tell you right now, Cincinnati dude ain't gonna last 5 minutes. He ain't gonna last 5 minutes. That's why my brothers, my imam brothers that was my brother imams that's in Philly. They told me that Hassan Somali ran up in a spot with the pipes and had the hitters with him and everything. They was like, man, the Salafiyyah is what it is. Took over home. I said, like, yeah, he wanna last 2 minutes in Cincinnati. Cause we ain't that unified. We ain't that unified at all. They'd have blew him down right there in that masjid. They'd have blew him all the way down. Him and whoever was with him. Right there in that masjid. And I'm not advocating that type of violence. I'm just saying, we follow the script. How y'all not following the script, man? How y'all not following the script? Don't none of that make no sense. Y'all calling a man sheikh, and y'all following men who call a man sheikh who only killed Muslims. He didn't kill nobody else who the Muslims was actually at war with. He didn't kill none of them. He killed us. Man killed his own brother for some stuff that he made up. His own brother, Sheikh Suleiman ibn Abdul Wahab, wrote the first treaties against him. And he was a sheikh before Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahab claimed that he was a sheikh. He was the first person, and he has isnad. He has a chain back to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. He was the first one. Actually, his daddy, Muhammad Abdul Wahab's daddy, who was a sheikh, was the first person that went against him. He used to look at his son and tell the people that was around him, it's like, how much evil is going to come out of that boy? And this is the reports that's coming out of his own household. But I don't know if y'all just don't know that, or if they hiding those facts from y'all. I don't know what they telling y'all. I don't know what y'all think about that. I don't know what y'all think about that. And what scholar do you ever what guy is a certified scholar, and then his son becomes a certified scholar, and that scholar who is the father don't love the son, and the son don't love the father? I don't know if that in history of Islam. And then the brother, who was already established as a scholar, he was already imam of the masjid. He already had Big Homie Call, warned everybody about his brother, his own brother. How powerful is that? And before he ever spoke the words Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they were already established, holding it down for Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah in the Hanbali Madhhab. And they were warning the people. They went against their own brother, his own son and his own brother, they flesh and blood, and warned the whole entire world about Mr. Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahab, that he coming with all types of bid'ah. Even some of his teachers used to say it. I don't know if they teaching y'all this or not. If y'all ain't never heard that, you heard it today. But my point is, that's the reason why I'm so concerned with this fad of the Salafi minhaj. The next problem with that is, y'all see me always talk about a chain, a sanad, an isnad, a chain link back to the Prophet. 90% of y'all don't even know what that is. I done got into debates with individuals that get 1,000 views every single time they go live, and they ain't talking about nothing, and they did not even know what a chain was. It's not. They thought it was just, oh yeah, that's what you talking about, the chain in hadith. You talk about the sanad, the concept in hadith. No, that's not just a concept in hadith. Number one, all the deen comes from the hadith. Period. All of the deen comes out of the hadith. We have fiqh, which is not hadith. I shouldn't have to explain this. We have fiqh, which is not hadith, but it was derived from the ahadith. The Salafi minhaj has no chain. They have no link for what they believe. Allah actually having hands, Allah sitting down on the throne, Allah being in the sky. Na'udhu billahi min dhalik. They have no chain for that. But then they try to be tricky. I've watched the big scholars, the Tahir Wayas, the Hassan Somalis, all them big hat dudes. They go and take a hadith and say, oh, well, here's a hadith, and the Prophet said, and it came from Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. That he said, oh, the Prophet ﷺ swore, and I'm paraphrasing. Prophet ﷺ swore by the one who is in the heavens. Prophet ﷺ swore by the one whose his life is in the hands of the two fingers of Allah. Na'udhu billah. This is the problem. Y'all are reading the books and reading the texts, and the texts say that, but since you don't follow a madhhab, you did not inherit the hikmah, the wisdom that came with that. Most of the texts and the explanation to those type of texts, which are mutashabihats, most of them don't come with the tafsir of with the tools of interpretation for those troubling hadith and ayats of the Quran. We have tools of interpretation, which is an usul that was inherited. It was not made up. It was inherited by our scholars, and that's through isnad. Imam Malik learned it from his sheikh. His sheikh learned it from his sheikh. His sheikh learned it from his sheikh, all the way back to the Sahaba, all the way back to the Prophet ﷺ. It was given. It was passed down. Imam Malik didn't just grab the Quran and grab the ayats and be like, hey, look, Allah said, fi samawat. So Allah must be inside of the samawat. No. They inherited the understanding of all of the deen, not just the mutashabihats, of all of the deen. But since the Salafis, the Salafi minhaj they've been taught this dhahid mentality, take the text at its apparent meaning, never was a concept in the actual methodology of the Salaf. Never was a concept. We have the concepts of ta'wil and tafweed. And I'm going to leave y'all to figure out what that is. Most of the people who are going to refute this video, they know what that is. And since they know what that is, they are actively going against the sunnah of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam and the sunnah of the Sahaba. Because that's the way that they interpreted those verses. Yes, they said it. Yes, they said it. Yes, the Quran says it. But what is the hikmah that comes with that? What was the interpretation of it? What was the correct interpretation of it? What did the scholars from before, the time of the Salaf, y'all call yourself the Salafi minhaj? What did those scholars say about those ayahs and those ahadith that mention the mutashabihats? You will never find them, never, not one. You will never find one Salaf, actual scholar from the Salaf, one actual, none of the Sahaba. You will find none of them using this concept of taking the text at its apparent meaning. None of them. And I got the receipts. Don't play with me. I got the receipts. Don't play with me. A book from Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab is not a receipt. A book from Mr. Fawzan, a book from Uthaymin, bin Baz, those are not receipts, my brothers and my sisters. Those are not receipts. Take me back to the time of Sa'id ibn Musayyib. Take me back to Abdullah ibn Abdul Bar. Take me back to Jalaluddin al-Suyuti. Take me back to what Bukhari said. Take me back to what Muslim said. Take me back to what Tirmidhi said. These are the time of the Salaf. And don't copy and paste even to yourself. Don't copy and paste a concept of tafweed, because they don't understand what tafweed is. Because the scholars have said, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is fi samawati wal ard. Yes, they said it, but this is tafweed. This is the tool of this is a tool of interpretation for that. I'm gonna leave y'all to figure that out. But what I am going to give you, I'm gonna allow you to cheat on, is that it was never, ever, ever taken literally, as if Allah actually had a hand. Allah actually sat on the throne. Allah actually is in the sky. Allah is above the sky, and all of this stuff. So why is that a problem? Why is it not okay for us to just leave them to believe that? Number one, they're attacking everybody else with this stuff. Just like Muhammad Abdul Wahhab did. Muhammad Abdul Wahhab left his ruh, he left his spirit, his shaitani spirit. He left it in all of his writings. He left it. So when they pick up the books of Ibn Abdul Wahhab, they pick up that shaitani spirit. That his context was shaitani. talking about the Muslims and taking ayats and a hadith that applied to the kuffar and the mushrikeen at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and they're taking that and putting that towards the Muslims. The Prophet ﷺ said that the Khawarij were going to do that. And the Prophet ﷺ also said that the Khawarij were the ones that are going to leave Islam. That's why they call them the Khawarij and the Khariji, because they left Islam. We got to be careful. I advise y'all, if any Salafi see this, I advise y'all to look at the characteristics of the Khawarij and see if your scholars are involved in any of that. It will. If you have true iman, it will shake you to your soul. It'll shake your soul to your bone. I'm concerned about y'all. I'm deeply concerned because it's like we almost there. It's like we almost there. It's been established. All those black Muslims and sisters say, all those black Muslim brothers and sisters, they all say Kalima Shahada. But the problem is we have not. They are not on the minhaj of the actual Salaf or the minhaj of the actual Sahaba. So you can't be on the minhaj of the. You can't be on the Sunnah of the Rasul. If you take away the Sahaba, you take away the Salaf and the Khalaf. It's impossible that you are on the path of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. Alayhi salam rahmatullah salih. It's impossible. How's this proof? I feel bad because what if you had this mentality in the time of the Salaf? Every single time somebody contradicts a Salafi online and say, "Where's your proof?" What do you take yourself back? This is how you learn traditionally. Take yourself back to the time of the Prophet, or the time of the Salaf, when there were these books that we reading now, they didn't even exist. When the humans were the books. When you had to go and do suhbah with an individual. I had a guy, I quoted what Imam Tahawi said last night. We was debating, and one of these Salafi guys was like, hey, he put 3 major shuyukh up in the video, and he slandered those major shuyukh. May Allah Ta'ala preserve them. And this guy said that the stuff that they're saying about Allah Ta'ala not actually being above us was the dumbest thing that he ever heard. This guy is not a sheikh. He had no formal learning whatsoever. Don't even know his Fard Ayn. Like, it's confirmed. Like, I know that he does not know his Fard Ayn. We have individuals like this spreading that out. Take that guy. Okay, so this is what I told him. I said, Imam Tahawi said, anybody who said that Allah is contained by any of the 6 directions, then he's done kufr. Imam Tahawi. He has the oldest work that we have today on Aqidah to Tahawiyah. He has the oldest work on Aqidah that we have today. And he settled that issue that Allah Ta'ala is not in any place. He settled the issue. This is a certified imam that all scholars agree on. All scholars in every generation agree on, even the Salafis. He said, well, it'll be okay if you had a statement from the Sahaba. Okay, so let's take this guy and his mentality, or these guys and their mentality, and let's transport them back to the time of the Salaf. So let's go back to the time of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahumullah, one of the Salafi imams. Let's go back to him, and let's take that mentality. Imam Abu Hanifa was of the fiqh books. Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahumullah, he was the Quran. Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahumullah, he was a hadith collection, a Sahih collection in a human form. Sahih Bukhari didn't even exist at that time. So what do you think they had to do? He had to go sit down with Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahumullah. He was in the mercy of the hand. He was at the hands. He was in the mercy of the hands of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahumullah. Imagine this guy saying, I'm not going to take your word for Imam Abu Hanifa, the mujtahid of this time period. I'm not going to take your word for Mr. Imam, Mr. Mujtahid. I'm not going to take your word for it. I'm going to take the word of the Sahaba. How are you going to get the word of the Sahaba? There weren't even no books at that time. Just human books. They had it all committed to memory. It was all right here. So how is it possible that these guys can skip over all of the scholars because the scholars of the Salaf and the Khalaf contradict the Salafi Minhaj. So they erase all of scholarship for 1,300 years before Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. And they say, we go straight to the Sahaba. Well, how could you get straight to the Sahaba if the books didn't exist? This is how stupid that sounds. That is just complete asinine. Makes no sense whatsoever, but they don't know. They came, the first thing that they've ever encountered affiliated with Islam was the Salafi Minhaj. They've never seen the actual Salaf before. They've never heard of the actual Salafi books. The books from Imam Abu Hanifa and his students, Imam Shafi'i and his students, Imam Ahmad and his students. They've never seen it. They've never heard of it. They don't even know they follow ayin in their fiqh. They've never seen it. So how is it even at all possible that they could be right? You have to go to Imam Abu Hanifa. You have to sit with him, and if you said something crazy to him, like, "Hey, Allah is above. Allah is actually above the heavens." This actually happened with Imam Malik. Somebody came and asked Imam Malik. He just asked a question to Imam Malik that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala was actually sitting on the throne. He asked me how he sat on the throne. Imam Malik cussed him out and then had him put out the ta'lim. If you could skip over the Salaf who contradicted the Salafi Minhaj, if you could skip over them and go straight to the companions' words, then how come that brother didn't do it? He lived in the time of Imam Malik. How come he didn't do that? The Sahaba were dead. He couldn't talk to them. And the books that we read right now, we try to quote these books, they didn't even exist at that time period. So you had to have a chain. You had to have a sanad. You had to have a human connection to the Holy Prophet ﷺ. The Sunnah was revived. It was given and it was preserved in the hearts and minds of our ulama. So, last thing I want to say about this is this whole thing was not an issue in the time of the Sahaba. So you don't find a lot of works. You find statements here and there about this kind of thing. It was a bid'ah that came maybe like 3rd century, 3rd, 4th century of Islam. And then those scholars had to deal with it. And it was a major fitna for probably about 300 to 400 years, probably going all the way up to about 700, 800 Hijri. So it was a major fitna. But this stuff was not a problem. Like nobody walked around saying, "Hey, Allah is sitting on His throne" in the time of the Sahaba. So how are you following the Quran and the Sunnah according to the way of the Sahaba if the Sahaba never did that? You very rarely find conversations about them talking about the mutashabihat. That's which is tafweed. By the way, this is not taking the mutashabihat at the apparent meaning. This was not that. They said the tabi'een quoted from the Sahaba. They said we take those ayats and we give them just like how we got them. They never said Allah actually had a hand. Allah actually sat down. And if anybody says that, then they have, if anybody is against that, then they have denied the attributes of Allah. They never said that. That does not exist. That got started with Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. It was bid'ah. The main people that got bid'ah on their tongues are the biggest proponents of bid'ah. The greatest proponents of bid'ah. If you look at, if y'all get out of those books of the Brady Bunch, Ibn Abdul Wahhab, Uthaymin, Fawzan, Madhhaahib, if you get out of their cipher, challenge them. Go back to the time of the actual Salaf. Go to the time of the students of the Salaf, the Khalaf. Go to their time period and see what they were saying. They did not do this Zahir business. Take it at its apparent meaning. They never did that. None of them that were actually scholars. And the bid'ah doesn't even have a chain. Doesn't even have a chain. All of the deviant groups, they came, they were crushed by Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and then they disappeared. And the only way we know about them is because Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah told us about them. That's the only way. Imam Nawawi was a giant. Excuse me, let me rephrase. Imam Nawawi, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, that whole set. Ibn Abdul Wahhab was a roach, was a cockroach compared to those guys. And all of them believed in istighatha and tawassul. Y'all quote their books, Imam Nawawi's 40 hadith. You want to take from him? Well, according to Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and the Salafi Minhaj, Imam Nawawi was a mushrik kafir, according to the Salafi Minhaj, because he believed in tawassul and istighatha. And it's actually written in his Madhhaahib. So I'm challenging y'all. Challenge what this crazy dude in Cincinnati is saying. Challenge me on what I am saying. Go back to the time of the Sahaba, the Salaf. And I bet you won't find nothing that goes outside of the four Imams. What you're gonna find about the other Imams, the other Mujtahideen, is the statements that come from the people that were in the four schools, who followed the four Imams, that told us about those individuals. We have no living chains, no existing chains back to any of those A'imah. None of them. So case in point, I'm concerned about this whole issue because I'm ready to get the nation building started in our community. And as long as we are attracted to the Salafi Minhaj, which is not the divine guidance of Allah in Islam, we are not going to get anywhere. The police shootings are not going to stop. The gang shootings are not going to stop. The dope is not going to stop flowing through our neighborhoods, and everything, all the other social illnesses and atrocities that we have to survive on a daily basis, we will not begin to stop them. And it's my understanding from my brothers and sisters, my brother imams in Philly, Jersey, and some of them come from New York. Which is that's the those are the black capitals of Islam. In Chicago and Detroit, there's a heavy Salafi presence there. What I'm hearing is that the Salafi Minhaj are playing dress up. They wearing full niqabs, they got boyfriends. Brothers is wearing the turbans, wearing the azad, and they got girlfriends, making babies, selling dope. Brothers told me that dope fiends is walking around the hood talking about, I can't wait until Ramadan is over because this dope out here that the non-Muslims got is whack, and the Muslims got the fire. Philadelphia, you have one of the highest and arguably the highest murder and crime rates in the entire country. If your Islam was correct, this would not be the case. We have places that live in abject poverty, like Somalia. You don't see people standing outside in Somalia selling drugs to their own Muslim brothers and sisters. You don't see people carrying AKs and go and shoot up the house of the mother of a Muslim brother who you fell out with. You don't see that problem. Why? They're Shafi'i. They got other problems now. And that's just a fitna from Allah. So don't try to bring that up. Like, oh, they pirates and they rob ships and all this stuff. That's a fitna from Allah. That is not the outcome of the incorrect practice of Islam. Not the same thing. Allah Ta'ala told us that he was going to give us fitna. We're on the other end of the stick. We're on that one ayah when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said Allah Ta'ala will not change the people until they change themselves. We're on that stick. They on fitna from Allah, we on that stick. Allah Ta'ala hasn't even began to assist us because we haven't began to assist ourselves. How is it possible that Philly has the highest concentration of Muslims? Most of them are Salafis. And they compete in having the highest crime rate in the world. Something about that Islam is not correct. Something is not correct. If you have that many Muslims in one locale, that should be the Black Mecca. That should be Mecca. We should be making hijrah to Philly. If Philly was, if all of those Salafis was started following the four madhhabs, I'd be living in Philly. And it's another thing. All of that, all of the drugs and the sexual misbehavior and all the stuff that's being reported from the ground. They said they fighting that aid. Not even wives fighting over one husband. One sisters are fighting over over a baby daddy. They're doing zina. Run rampant with zina. That's because the guidance and the hidayah is not hitting here. They sitting here talking about tasawwuf is bid'ah, but they need tasawwuf. You need tasawwuf. That'll stop all of that stuff. We can't possibly get to the point of building a community and protecting our individual belief systems if this is the case. And that is the case because, like I said in the beginning, our people have been attracted to the Salafi minhaj. This is a problem. And this is why I'm speaking on it. So when y'all see me throwing out these attacks, I'm attacking the ideology, not the people. People, I love y'all. Y'all say Kalima Shahada, and according to my school, we cannot put y'all out of Islam. But according to the fiqh in all of the four schools and the fiqh of the divine fiqh, we can tell y'all what will put you out of Islam. If you're doing tajseem, if you're making Allah a person, that is going to put you out of Islam. Be concerned with that. This is what is at stake. Be concerned with that. I'm concerned with it. This is why I'm making the post. It's tough love. It's a hard pill to swallow. But hey, somebody got to say it. And I want to get somewhere. I want to get some. If I want to get somewhere. I want to get somewhere in us building our community. This is the reason why y'all see me going so hard on the brothers and sisters. Not on the brothers and sisters, but just on the ideology, period. And I welcome anybody to conversate with me about it. Conversate, not throw slurs. I ain't never been the kind of person that you can just say anything to. So that ain't never gonna go well. So don't come if you take an invite to come on here like the past two dudes that took an invite to come on here, you get to talking crazy. That's where we gonna be with it. That's where we're gonna be at with it. We're gonna just be acting crazy. We're just gonna be looking like fools on here because I'm not the imam. I'm not. I'm the dude that punched people and to make sure that the masjid is safe. I'm that dude. So I don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted at all. And ask anybody in Ohio to know me, and that was in the penal system. I punch people, and then we're gonna have Jumu'ah. If you get the cutting the fuss, and you want to disrupt me getting my worship, me getting my tasawwuf, me getting my purification, I can't have that. I can't have that, sir. You need to go to church or something. Go play with them people. You're not finna play with my people. And maybe I just need to get better at that. I don't know. I don't know. But Umar lay hands on you quick, fast, in a hurry for the unity of the Muslims and for some foolishness. So if you come over here acting foolishness, I'm gonna play you like a fool. That's just period. I'm telling you straight up right now. If you come over here and you want to conversate, and you want to talk about these issues, you want to get somewhere with these issues, you play like a fool. I'm gonna play you like a fool. I'm gonna play you just like what you is. Period. Period. That's just how the cookie crumbles. I don't know what to tell you. I ain't cut no other kind of way. I'm from the hood. I ain't go to Yemen and sit in the cave and study and memorize and none of that. I'm just an old street dude that's just trying to get my life right, and I just want to live in peace over here with my people. That's it. I ain't the big holy sheikh at the top of the mountain who's all humble and ain't never stepped on a fly before. Nah, I done stepped on flies, people, dogs, cats, cops, all that. That's who you talking to. That don't mean I'm dumb, though. Don't mean I'm dumb. I'm just telling you. I'm finna get off here. Inshallah. It's a lot of comments. I don't know if I can get them all. Sound like me, vet. Hey, E from the block. What up, E? Eric Edward. That's my homie from the block. He'll tell you I ain't play no games. I used to wake little buddy up with the gunfire at nighttime. He literally stayed across the street from us on our block. Literally, he tell you I don't play none of them games, man. And he could have testified that I'm a changed individual. Alhamdulillah. Malik Muhammad. Hey, Islam nigga sister. He said that's the dangerous part about their da'wah. Salafi sisters reading Fawzan, sharing it, and speaking recklessly and clueless about correct aqidah. This is a huge problem. I mean, a lot of people hit that share button and don't even be knowing what they sharing. The golden chain, yes, from Malik, from Nafi, from Ibn Umar. Although I just did learn in my hadith classes that there is no such thing as a golden chain. That's just what they call that. That was like scholarly slang or whatever. You know, that was like the Malikis and the Shafi'is thought that the Hanafis and the Hanbalis have their own golden chain. I just learned that in a hadith class the other day. Excuse me. Malik Mama said ignorance. They've been bamboozled. Yeah. They let Al-Albani and Uthaymi. Yeah, I forgot to say him. Yeah, Al-Albani too. Al-Albani, Uthaymi, and Fawzan, etc. Talk them out of tasawwuf and blackness in Islam. Facts. Yes. Now it said if everyone isn't on the same path, yeah, then we'll never be unified, and it's going to be a collective effort that's going to get this thing off the ground. Justice. We have to give ourselves justice. We can't depend on nobody else to give us justice. And if we out here calling Islam will unify us like it did the Sahaba, like it did the Salaf, like it did the Khalaf, then how in the world, if we're not following their recipe, how are we going to be unified? Or do y'all even want to be unified? Or do y'all just want to fight? Y'all tell me that. Akbeni, Abdul Fattah, Tajuddin says Salafiyyah is a cult movement that uses Islamic terminology and has hijacked the religion using petrodollars. In the process, its adherents are killing and maiming more Muslims than people of other faiths and are creating deep social rifts and lasting enmities within their own community. That's true. And that brother is he from Africa, and he's attached into what that could be. A lot of times we ain't it ain't hitting the fan with us, but over there they don't have like a system of government and and prisons where they can put people in for 40 years to life. So my point in saying that is this is what this turns into. Y'all see them guys, Boko Haram and all of them, just walking around aimlessly slaughtering Muslims, aimlessly just killing them. Literally, it'll get to it. This stuff that Ibn Abdul Wahhab is talking about it'll make us get to that point. I'm sorry, y'all, my head hot. Not supposed to be walking around without your head covered. I know that because if I take this off, the Salaf is gonna be like, he doesn't even cover his head. How can he be right? He doesn't cover his head. He can't be a witness. I'm hot. And like I said, the problem is we are too ignorant to even investigate the history of whom we are claiming to follow. Facts. Tilka Hayat Shab, Assalamu alaikum, brother. He said true. Said their beliefs are unwanted in every country. And that's coming from a brother who traveled around the whole world. So he could tell you what he saw. Then the Mama said, facts. I witnessed those classes, no chain. Saudi has produced Tilka Hayat Shab. He said Saudi has produced changed hadith that have no change. That's why the schools in Egypt throw away their books. Yeah, you should throw them away and burn them. If you got any books from Fawzan, Al-Albani, Uthaymin, bin Baz, or Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, you should burn them immediately. Bonfire. You can put Wahhab, bin Baz, Uthaymin, Al-Albani, and Fawzan all together, and they still don't have a quarter of a weight of our giant scholars who found. Absolutely, positively, facts. Malik Muhammad said, "May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise your ranks and reward you tremendously for this dawah, the truth over falsehood." I mean. And Allah said, "Man, fix that hat now." Now I'm getting ready to turn this off and take this hat off. Inshallah. I'm gone. Hey, salam alaikum, Stephen Pierce. All right, I love y'all for the sake of Allah. If I say anything wrong, it does not belong to Allah, does not belong to the messenger, or the Sahaba, or the righteous predecessors. It's my weaknesses, my faults, my erroneousness. Uh, 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 yeah, that's it. That's it. I love y'all for the sake of Allah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله ولا إله إلا الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.